If you're about to spend $120,000 or $150,000 on a Mercedes Sprinter conversion van, a Winnebago Solis, or a Pleasure-Way Ascent using retirement savings, this video is going to be uncomfortable to watch. Because this is where most people quietly destroy their financial future, not through bad luck, not through ignorance, but through a decision-making process that was broken before they ever walked into a dealership. Not too late like, I made a bad investment. Too late like, the van is parked, the savings are gone, and they're 67 years old with no fallback. That's not a warning I'm making up. That's a pattern I've watched repeat itself across hundreds of buyer stories, forum threads, and first-hand accounts from people who planned this for years and still got it wrong. And here's the thing nobody on YouTube will tell you. The van wasn't the problem. The decision-making process was. So in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what that broken process looks like, why intelligent people fall into it, and the specific financial framework that separates buyers who thrive in van life from the ones who bail within 12 months, often at a $40,000 loss. If you are retired, approaching retirement, or planning full-time van life with any portion of your life savings, do not skip this video. The story that started this. I want to start with a story. A couple, mid-60s, call them John and Charlotte, spent 3 years planning their van life retirement. Researched models obsessively, watched every tour video they could find, saved diligently, finally pulled the trigger on a $142,000 Class B on a Sprinter platform, sold 2 of their cars, felt ready. 6 months later, they were parked outside Tucson, Arizona, not traveling, not exploring, parked because a warning light had appeared on the Sprinter dashboard. They didn't know which dealer to trust, and the repair estimate they'd been given was $3,800. They were afraid to drive it. The freedom they spent 3 years building had quietly turned into paralysis. John told me, "We planned the purchase perfectly. We never planned for what happened after." That sentence is why I made this video. Why smart people get this wrong. Here's why this keeps happening to people who are otherwise smart, disciplined, and prepared. When someone spends 30 or 40 years working toward retirement, they build up one thing alongside their savings, a vision, a very specific, very emotional vision of what freedom looks like. And somewhere along the way, that vision gets a vehicle attached to it, a Mercedes Sprinter conversion, a Winnebago Solis, a Heimer Grand Canyon, a Pleasure-Way Ascent. They've watched the tours, they've seen the sunset photos, they've read the forums, and by the time they're actually ready to buy, they're not making a financial decision anymore. They're closing a chapter. They're buying the life they earned. That's where the danger starts. Because when emotion is driving, logic is in the back seat, and the campervan industry knows exactly how to take advantage of that. Here's the number that should stop you cold. In multiple surveys across van life communities, including data pulled from the Camper Report and various full-timer forums, over 60% of first-time buyers report significant regret in the first year. Not mild disappointment, significant regret. That number climbs closer to 70% when you filter specifically for retirees who funded the purchase from retirement or pension savings. So the question isn't whether the van you're looking at is good, the question is whether you're set up to actually succeed with it financially and logistically before you sign anything. The 4 financial traps that destroy retirement van life budgets. Most buyers walk into at least 2 of them. The ones who get hit hardest usually walk into all 4. Trap 1, the purchase price illusion. Here's where most retirees get blindsided. Let's say you buy a Pleasure-Way Ascent, Class B, Mercedes Sprinter 2500 platform, well-built, solid North American dealer network. MSRP typically runs $145,000 to $160,000 for a new unit in 2025. That number feels manageable if you've been disciplined about retirement savings. But that's not your real cost. Factor in insurance, which for a Class B motorhome on a Sprinter chassis typically runs $2,000 to $4,000 annually, depending on your state and usage profile. Factor in campground fees,
Full hookup sites now average $45 to $75 per night across the US, and if you're living in the van rather than just touring, that's $1,350 to $2,250 a month before you buy a single gallon of fuel. Factor in Sprinter maintenance. The 2.0-liter OM654 diesel in current Sprinters is more reliable than the older OM642, but it's still a European diesel requiring specialist servicing. A full service, fluids, filters, DEF system check runs $400 to $700 in an authorized dealer. Doing significant mileage, budget $1,500 to $3,000 per year in routine maintenance alone. Add registration, which in states like California or Colorado includes weight-based fees that can push annual costs above $800. And this is the number nobody calculates before buying. The real cost of ownership on a premium Class B can run $25,000 to $35,000 per year before you've paid for food or experiences. The purchase price is just the entry fee. Everything after it is where the plan breaks. Trap 2. The depreciation blind spot. New camper vans depreciate fast. Most Class B motorhomes lose 20 to 25% of their value in the first 3 years. On a $150,000 Pleasure-Way Ascent, that's $30,000 to $37,500 gone before you've done anything wrong. If you're buying with retirement savings, not generating income, not growing wealth, that depreciation is permanent capital destruction. You're not investing, you're spending. The buyers who navigate this well treat the purchase as a consumption decision with a known cost. They don't expect to break even, they just make sure the cost is built into their retirement income model before they commit. The ones who get hurt are the ones who tell themselves they'll sell if it doesn't work out, and then discover that if it doesn't work out, costs them 40 grand. Trap 3. The income replacement miscalculation. This is where the plan quietly breaks for most couples. When you're working, employer-backed health insurance, pension contributions, and a stable address make your financial infrastructure almost invisible. You don't think about it. When you go full-time in a van, every single one of those costs becomes visible and variable. Health insurance for a couple in their 60s without employer coverage can easily run $1,200 to $1,800 a month through marketplace plans. Mail forwarding services, state domicile costs. The South Dakota domicile strategy works for a lot of full-timers, but it has real setup costs and requirements. A lot of retirees budget for the van, they don't budget for the full lifestyle transition. That gap is where the plan falls apart. Trap 4. The lifestyle fit assumption. This one can't be measured in dollars until it's too late. Van life, even in a premium $150,000 rig, is spatially constrained living. A Pleasure-Way Ascent gives you roughly 190 square feet of combined living and driving space. A Hymer Grand Canyon S, one of the most sophisticated Class B offerings in the European market, built on a Sprinter with advanced thermal and electrical systems, still caps out around 200 square feet. For a couple, that's a real test of relationship and adaptability. And here's where most retirees get blindsided a second time. The ones who thrive are the ones who tested it first, aggressively. They rented a comparable van for 21 days, not a weekend, not a quick trip, 21 days in real conditions, the gray tank filling faster than you expected, the solar underperforming in 3 cloudy days in a row, the bed configuration that looks fine in a brochure and destroys your back in practice. The ones who skipped the test because they'd already decided, those are the ones writing the forum posts 2 years later about selling at a $35,000 loss. The uncomfortable truth about Class B vans. Most retirees aren't buying Class B camper vans because they're practical. They're buying them because they look like success. The Class B sells because it's beautiful, because it parks in a regular spot, because it feels like a luxury car you happen to live in. And the industry has done an extraordinary job of making that feeling like a decision. But the financial reality, a well-equipped Class C, something like a Winnebago Echo on a Ford Transit platform or a used Class A from a reputable seller, gives you significantly more living space, better amenity redundancy, and a lower per square foot cost, On almost every practical metric, it wins for full-time living. The Class B Premium, often $40,000 to $60,000 over a comparable Class C, buys you parking convenience and aesthetics. Those are real advantages, but they're preferences, not non-negotiables. And this is where amateurs lose money, paying premium prices for preferences they've convinced themselves are requirements. The most expensive van isn't the smartest buy. The aligned van is. So what does the right process actually look like? Step 1. Build your full annual cost model before you look at any vehicle. Take your estimated purchase price, add 20% for year 1 costs, insurance, registration, initial maintenance, setup, then model your ongoing annual expenses, campground or boondocking costs, fuel, maintenance reserves, health insurance, domicile administration. If that number fits inside your retirement income, pension, Social Security, investment withdrawals, with a 20% buffer left over, you're potentially ready to buy. If it doesn't fit with a buffer, you're not ready. Adjusting the van price won't fix a structural income problem. Step 2. Define your non-negotiables versus your preferences. Non-negotiables are things you genuinely cannot compromise on. They affect your health, your relationship, or your physical capability. Preferences are things you'd like to have. Most buyers reverse these two categories and end up paying a premium for preferences they'll quietly stop caring about within 6 months. Test your candidate van class for a minimum of 21 days. Not a test drive, not a long weekend. 21 days in real conditions, the gray tank filling faster than you expected, the solar underperforming in 3 cloudy days in a row, the bed configuration that looks fine in a brochure and destroys your back in practice. Vet the platforms separately from the build. This is where smart buyers do things differently. The Mercedes Sprinter and the Ford Transit are not equivalent platforms for all buyers. The Sprinter offers superior diesel efficiency and European service network coverage, critical if you're buying in Europe or planning international travel. The Transit offers lower repair costs and wider U.S. dealer coverage, which matters enormously if you're covering rural America. The Winnebago Solis 59PX on a Ram ProMaster is a different proposition again. Lower platform cost, shorter wheelbase, better urban maneuverability, but a thinner diesel service network across the U.S. Buy the platform based on where you'll actually use it. Don't let the interior finishes make that decision for you. Step 5. Get a pre-purchase inspection from a certified RV inspector with zero relationship to the seller. Not optional. If a seller won't allow an independent inspection, that is your answer.
Who should buy and who should wait? You're ready if your retirement income covers full van life costs with a 20% buffer, you've completed a genuine extended test of van living, you've built a 12-month emergency reserve completely separate from your purchase funds, and you've chosen a platform based on your specific usage, geography, and service access, not your taste in cabinetry. You should wait if you're counting on selling the van to recover capital if it doesn't work out, you haven't tested extended van living in real conditions, your income fits van life costs but only barely, or you're buying primarily because the van represents the freedom you've been imagining, rather than because the economics actually work. If you're in Europe, add one more layer. The regulatory environment is actively tightening. Low emission zones, ZFEs in France, clean air zones in the UK, LEZs across major German cities are restricting older diesel vehicles year by year. A diesel Sprinter bought today may face access restrictions in core European cities within 5 years. If European travel is central to your plan, factor that into your platform decision now, not after the purchase. The honest conclusion: the campervan industry is selling freedom, and freedom is real. I'm not dismissing what van life can be when it's done right, but the version of freedom that actually works is the one that's financially grounded before the first deposit clears.
Think about John and Charlotte, parked outside Tucson.
They didn't make a stupid decision, they made a human one. They planned the purchase and forgot to plan the life. The vision was so complete, so detailed, so long in the making, that they mistook having a plan for the van with having a plan for everything else.
The buyers who are still out there 5 years later, living well, not burnt out, not broker than they planned, almost without exception made deliberate, methodical decisions. They tested, they modeled, they didn't confuse the vision with the plan. Wanting something badly is not a risk management strategy. So here's the question I want you to sit with, and be honest when you answer it. Are you buying a van because the economics work and you've done the real work to prove it? Or are you buying it because you've already pictured yourself in one for so long that stopping now feels like giving something up? Drop your answer in the comments, because that tension between the dream and the plan is exactly what the next video on this channel is going to be about.